This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Gabriel Rutledge. We get 2 bad date ideas, which Blake laughed the hardest I think he's ever laughed on the show at, and then a professional decision that Gabriel's CD put into truck stops, and many other places later on. Plus we talk about porn quite a bit. Anyways, it's a great episode. Here we go, Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. So excited for our guest this week. I've been wanting to have him on the show, so I'm happy that he's here. Gabriel Rutledge. Hello.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here.
Good. Coming to us from a hotel room in Las Vegas. Yes. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. 27th floor. I don't know why the higher I am, the more successful I feel, but it feels, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
good.
People below me, they know they're below me right now.
There's a lot of people below you right now. That's good. Well, perfect.
Yeah, there's a few above me, but don't worry about them.
We do like to start by making you feel very successful before you tell us your bad ideas. So this is working out perfectly already. So we like to start. You will give everybody your credit. So Gabriel Rutledge, hilarious stand-up comedian. You have multiple specials, but you have a dry bar special that came out this year that is nearing 1 million views. Very great. You've written a book called Happiness Isn't Funny, and you have a new one that you've been working on, and you also have a children's book. You have a podcast called The Drive Home with Gabriel Rutledge, which I was actually listening to on the way up here. And other than that, you won the Seattle International Comedy Competition some years ago. You've been on Comedy Central, Nickelodeon. Lots of, you've done lots of things. You're a successful person, but that's not what we want to hear about. So, do you feel good?
No.
No.
That's thank you for saying all those things. I try to make my wife say those every morning. But no.
Just to remind you.
Yeah. Just before we get our day started, remind me I was on Nickelodeon once. It's funny. Okay, so I was actually thinking in one of your, like you just kind of told me the layout of the podcast or what you guys talk about. And you said bad dates, and I've been with my wife since I was 19, so I've had very few dates, and we didn't, we just started fucking. So we weren't even, you know what I mean? There was not a lot of courtship. But this is like just a mini one. I just had this cringing memory of my high school girlfriend. And like, I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, let's go to a movie. And it was a double feature. And I just had this cringy realization that I made this poor girl sit in a movie theater for 4.5 hours. Just like, we get to watch 2 movies. Isn't this great? So we just sat in there. So weird we never worked out, but like I just didn't know.
That's it. Well, first of all, I always feel like movies are I know it's a popular date, but if you want to actually talk to someone, it's not like the very good date. So you were like, what if we make that part longer? Where we just sit in the dark.
We don't know each other very well yet, but what if we just, in the dark, sat next to each other for 4 or 5 hours and let that be the basis of our relationship.
Yeah. Do they still?
Maybe we could drive home silently afterwards too. Really make it a fun night.
Because we don't have time for dinner, so we have to go home now.
No, it's very late. We have a curfew.
Blake's enjoying this one very much. That's funny.
But then I had this memory of one time, my wife, Christy, like I said, been together since we were 19 years old. I don't remember what year of our relationship it was, but I had this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna get a hotel in the town we live in, Olympia, Washington, just like, the Red Lion, something fancy. I think third floor was like the best you could do. I think
not 27th. Okay.
But my idea was, hey, I'll do all the planning. She won't even know what's happening. This will just be like and this is classic, just men, women, dumb shit. You know what I mean? I was just like, I'll plan everything. And so she comes home from work. I'm like, hey, I got us a hotel room. You don't even have to pack. I packed everything. It was an absolute disaster because it was like, she's like, did you pack my medication? No, I did not. She's like, did you pack like pajamas? And I was like, I was trying to be funny. So I was like, hey, didn't think you'd need them. And then she was like, oh, did you bring tampons? And I was like, let's go home and get the pajamas. It was thank God we were only across town.
That is a good point. Yeah, I guess if you did a
really
actual trip, you'd be fucked.
Yeah. It really ruined the vibe of like, I handled everything to like, I handled nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Like,
this was worse than you handling everything. So I also did have that memory of like, yeah, it was a nice idea, but I don't know enough details to pull that off.
I like the confidence of you being like, no, I got this. And the fact that the bad idea here is just you trusting yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I think I know myself better now.
That's
and
good,
I would be like,
yeah. When was this? How long ago? How long have
I
you
mean,
been
that
married,
we were pretty young. I bet that was like maybe 5 or 6 years in. So we were probably like mid-20s when I did that.
Okay.
Not that. But yeah, it was I would never attempt to be like, especially with children, I would never be like, and I packed all the kids' stuff. Yeah, there's no way I got it all. There's no way.
I can't even barely pack for myself. I mean, we do this every week. We travel almost every week. Mm-hmm. And no matter what, I forget a belt or a bra or a toothbrush or something. And so now I'll lay it out on the bed and then Aaron will tell me what to put in. So there's no way, like we're going on a trip this weekend. There's no way I could be like, oh yeah, I'll just pack all your stuff, because it would just me being like, do you want this? Should me texting her and being like, should I put this in there for you? Do you need this? Do you need what makeup do you want? I know that I'm bad, but we're here to learn. So
I walked. I'm in Las Vegas right now. After my show last night, I walked, I don't know how long on the Strip to a Walgreens because I needed toothpaste.
See?
Didn't bring toothpaste. No. Thank God there's a 24-hour Walgreens.
There's a 24-hour everything there, which is great. Yeah. But I do that. And then every week, like, because I have my travel bag, I just put it in there. Okay, then I'm like, oh, I need to replenish the toothpaste or the makeup wipes or whatever. And then I fucking forget every time. So it's like 3 weeks in a row that I don't have those things. And I'm like, oh.
Absolutely. Okay, I think this is my the worst. It's good I'm in Vegas because this is the location of, I think, the dumbest professional thing I've ever done.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of little ones. There's a lot of even, I have a dry bar special. I said no to that in the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
And everyone who said yes in the beginning, it was like this big boost. And I'm like, no, thanks. I'm good.
I've said no to things where I'm like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Or yes to things where I feel the same, where I'm like, oh, well, that was fucking stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I said no is because I had said yes to a thing that ended up being a disaster.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
2007. I'm very old. 2007. I was in Las Vegas at the HBO/TBS Comedy Festival.
Okay.
At Caesar's Palace. It was like very exciting. Everyone there is like, well, this is whatever comes after this is obviously stardom,
You've made
fame.
It, yeah. 28th
Yeah,
floor.
there's industry people walking around. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, that's
You,
true.
you know, anytime I saw anyone dressed nice, I'm like, they look connected. You know, that's
He's like parking a car. It's
yeah, exactly. You're like, this guy's gonna give me an HBO special, and he's like, do you want any water? I'm like, never mind.
Never mind. They would never ask that.
No, they would never ask that. So you're we're all sort of, we're hoping, we're doing our sets, and then we're hoping something amazing happens afterwards. So I do a set. It's pretty good. I mean, it's Caesar's Palace. Everyone's drunk. It's late at night.
Right.
A guy comes up to me after the show. First sign there was trouble. He had a bolo tie on.
Not good.
Certain locations in the country, you probably don't judge a bolo tie, but Las Vegas, it had a weird used car salesman vibe to it. Like what's it going to take to get you in a, as he's adjusting his little. So he goes, I'm ready for like, hey, whatever. I booked the Tonight Show or something. And instead he goes, how would you like it if you had a comedy CD available in Flying J truck stops all around the country?
How did you like it? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, it was sort of like the sound of a balloon deflating in my head, just like, like, oh.
I mean,
but then I was like,
that's a very used car salesman approach to telling you that too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: how would it feel to? Also, what's your credit score? Like, what does this have to do?
Yeah, hold on, no.
But then I was like, okay, I guess, and so we do some corresponding. He wants then he's like, we're going to do a DVD and I'll fly you down to somewhere where we're going to tape it. And then he's like, cancel that idea because he's like, truckers don't watch DVDs. They just
driving.
That makes sense. And so this is what happened is I had already recorded an album. He bought the recording from me for $1,000.
Which is not enough, you guys. But
no, it is so not enough. I consulted with my agent and my manager who do not exist, and we all decided
that was a good idea.
$1,000's pretty good.
Yeah.
$1,000's pretty good.
I got some stuff with that. Yeah.
I got to pay for this hotel room for a surprise getaway weekend. I need this $1,000.
These double features are expensive.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm like, fine, whatever, who cares? And then the album comes out and it's all out of my control, right? So I don't get to title it. I don't get to do the artwork. I just got my $1,000. The album is called Domesticated Party Animal.
Okay.
It has a picture of like 3 or 4 girls in like bikinis and mini skirts on the cover. It's a double album. There's another comedian on it. Called Jer Dog. Don't know him. Never, our paths have not
Seems
crossed.
Seems like a good guy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Never crossed since then and never had. If you do meet him, you got to be like, oh my God, Jer.
Well, the funny thing is like I was trying to hide it. As soon as I saw it, they sent me a couple copies. I was horrified. I'm like, oh no. Just like, I mean, the girl, it was like stock images of like 80s hot girls that were on the cover. Like they could have, I mean, for truckers, it was like something you'd see in the back of a mud flap, like one of those.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what does this have to do? It had nothing to do with my material. It had nothing to do. So I'm like, but Jer Dog was excited. He's like making videos like, hey, this album's out. Everyone go get it. I'm like, shh.
You can find it at the Flying J.
So I never have seen one at a Flying J.
Really?
Truck stop. So I just thought, okay, who cares? And then Well, even before that happened, before the horrible ending to this, I was talking to another comedian about it. I was talking about the album. What is the name of the label? I would say it if I could remember it, but I can't. Laughing Hyena Records is the
Laughing
name
Hyena
of
Record. I have never
Yes.
even heard of them, but yeah,
Well, that's if you were a long haul truck driver, you would have
it would be my favorite label.
it'd be your go-to. You'd probably know Jar Dog too. But so I was talking to another comedian. I'm like, yeah, I did this thing with Laughing Hyena Records, and the other comedian was like, yeah, I did that too, but whatever. At least I got $3,000. And I was like, son of a bitch.
No. Oh, that is the worst feeling, especially when it's like somebody that, I mean, you know, no offense to every other comedian ever. We're all great and whatever. But
Absolutely.
it's somebody who you know is just not good or whatever. And you're like, fuck, you got $3,000? Like, oh man, I really screwed myself over.
Dude, I just had that. Not that they were bad, but I had someone say, hey, how much money do you make at this club? And I said, well, I do like an hour extra time. And so they give me a little extra money. And then the other comedian was like, I've been doing 45 minutes and I get the same amount of money. And I was like,
you're like, fuck.
So here's what happened, unfortunately, with Domesticated Party Animal is, you know, the internet happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone taught Bolo Tie the internet and he put it up on everything, streaming, iTunes, and it's not mine. I don't own it. And so even the material I don't want out there just because it was pretty early and I don't love it. But just when if you're on Pandora or whatever, looking at Gabriel Rutledge albums, there's like a bunch of them. And then there's this artwork of like these hot girls, Domesticated Party Animal. It's just like, man, I mean, it's like a lesson that will never go away because it will never be taken down. I tried to buy it back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they were like $7,000. I'm like, you guys,
what?
Because the way streaming works, we know what they make because we get half.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I know what we're making on this album, and $7,000 is ridiculous. You made $70 on this last year.
Blake looked it up, so I can see that. I can see the picture. I'll have to post it on the Instagram or something just so people can see. But that is it's very 80s vibe, honestly, for 2007.
Yeah, and if everyone look it up and have a laugh, and then please don't listen to the material.
Yeah, don't listen to it.
But yeah, that was so that experience was like, I'm not saying yes to everything anymore. And then I said no to some things I should have said yes to.
I mean, I would make a similar decision. I feel like if somebody was like, "Do you?" and I'm like, "Yeah, what is that gonna hurt?" But you didn't know that the internet part of it would.
No, that it definitely was like, I used to put out albums. I used to sell albums like CDs.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be like, well, here's my newest recording that kind of works. And I would just sell them. Like there was no digital footprint or history and it was actually, thank God, because if I put all of those up, I think about that all the time now that I'm, been doing comedy 21 years where it's like people have been doing comedy 6 months. They're like, here's me doing 30 minutes. And I'm like, yikes.
They know. It took me 9 years to do my first album. And then I did a special 2 years later, which even that is like kind of fast for me. I know not for everybody, but kind of fast to do another half an hour. And I just kept thinking about all of the jokes that I used to do that I would not put on anything now. I would be too embarrassed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't, stand-up comedy doesn't really age that well.
No, it doesn't.
It's not, I don't know. It just does. Even really famous people, you listen to like their old stuff and you're like, no, that's, even if you're not that topical, so it is, I guess I get a couple bucks from domesticated party animal streaming, but it's definitely like this. I've even got a message or two that are like, "Is this you?" I'm like, "Yep."
Well, you're right though. With all the different artworks of your albums, that doesn't fit. So it does look like that's weird that one's coming up. That must not be him, but it is.
Yeah, that was his. That was his. That was his boob phase, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I kind of understand a little bit because of if you are selling it in a truck stop, not to be too reductive to truck drivers, but
Yeah.
it does grab attention. Or that was the time of like, oh, my brother had that poster. It was like it was like their butts, like it was they all had skirts on or whatever, and then you could see like the bottom of their butt cheeks, and it was very popular at the time, like late 90s, early 2000s was like a lot. But then you saw pictures like that all the time, a bunch of girls that are naked but their backs are turned to you and you can just see their butt cracks and they're holding each other's butt, whatever. It was just like multiple women dressed or not dressed sexily, and that was like very common then. But then for it to be used as the internet artwork too is like, you could have changed it honestly before you uploaded it.
Yeah, and I didn't even like. He would have said no, maybe anyway. But I didn't even say like, well, can I pick the artwork or can I name it or like none of that happened. But I feel like those, obviously the internet, you can find nudity whenever you want.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, send me an email. I will send you some links.
Or so just Google nudity.
Nudity. Is that you who has the joke about something hilarious that like your kid Googled or something? It was like big boobs.
Well, I think we talked about it afterwards, but he tried to search naked girls, but he spelled it naked grills. And so, which is true. Like I have a screenshot of the search history because I had to send it to Aaron and be like, we might need to have a conversation, I was just trying to clean up the tablet. But yeah, because then he got in trouble at school. Because when we've told him before, like, make sure you're searching appropriate things at school because they can see it. Not, not because you should be, but just because they can see it, And so the teacher had emailed us. And so Aaron's like talking to him about it. And she's like, well, what did you try and look for? And he goes, nothing. It was like a video game thing. And she said, well, the teacher's going to tell me what it was. And he goes, sexy girls. I tried to search sexy girls, which is funny because when you don't know anything, you're just like, ooh, this is bad, but it's not even close to the worst thing out there.
It's oddly adorable. It's like, oh.
Yeah, try not to laugh when he said that to her, because it's like, yeah, just searching boobs or whatever. It's not. Like...
Yeah. And, the older you get, the weirder that search gets.
Yeah.
It will be naked grills because that's the thing.
That's the new, yeah.
If I could, a lady cooking meat naked, that's what really, I need that. I need that. But it's funny because like you were talking about like those old posters with like, I don't know, like you said, it'd just be like 4 girls' butts lined up. Sometimes they'd be like sandy, like they've been having fun
or they got like paint on them or something. Yeah.
It's so that is kind of, it's like not even like the beer ads used to be kind of like that. But it was so funny to like, what is the scenario where this happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like these 4 hot girls were like all at the beach and they're like, they gave someone a camera and we're like, what would be fun? Let's all line up with our butts. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just such a silly, like.
Yeah, I swear one of my friends had, those, like, the old timey, like construction photos of like, they're really high up or something. It was like that, but with women's butts, like they were sitting on a metal beam, like they had been doing construction like that.
Yeah.
It was like, well, how does this happen, and why do you have it in your room?
Just a bunch of hot ladies with a lot of construction skills.
Yeah, look,
getting it done.
He was ahead of his time, apparently. Real feminist there. He's like,
I mean, even Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue is like adorable now, but when I was a kid, that was for like an evangelical, sexually repressed kid. That was
You're like, whoa.
I mean, that was amazing to me. That was like this, I might go to hell, but this is amazing.
This is worth it.
Yeah, this is
I wish these ladies were doing construction.
I think a lot of Christian kids do pretty good until puberty.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't know. This is calling to me.
I don't believe you anymore. Yeah. Well, I think I've heard a lot of stories from that scenario that they thought they were the only person. Like they were like, oh, I'm such a bad person because I have these feelings that I was told were bad. But it's like, no. Literally everyone. Well, maybe not.
I know.
But most people, you're okay.
Right.
Yeah. Which is a weird thing when your kids start. I'm sure we've made plenty of bad decisions of what to say and how to, because, you're like, well, yeah, fuck, when I was 9, my parents got Playboys and stuff, and I knew it because they came in the black, it had the black plastic on it.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm sure no one has to deal with anymore, but you knew it was a naughty magazine because it came in a black plastic sleeve so that you couldn't see what was on it. So I knew, but yeah, then you start, I wanted to see what was in there, with the articles. No, it was, so then when you get, you catch your kids, you're like, you can't get mad at them. You just want to like talk through it, or do you make them feel weird? So then they'll stop. Like that's, just be like, yeah, that's totally fine. My mom told me, she was like, you can look at them if you want, just put them back. And it bothered me so much that we would be looking at the same thing that I never did it.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it was like you needed to sneak it or something. But yeah, but her being okay with it ruined it for her.
Yeah, that kind of takes the fun out of it. You're like, this lady's hot. Oh, I wonder if my mom thought that. You know what I mean?
Just like, my parents flipping through it together. You're like, no, exactly. Thank you.
No. I need my own magazine.
Yes, please. Oh, God. Yeah, she said, just put it back. That was it. Like, oh, God. I don't even know how we got on this tangent. Oh, the party animal. It's the party animal. Artwork,
maybe that artwork is appropriate for my life. I just realized.
Yeah.
I am a domesticated party animal.
Maybe it just came full circle, and eventually you'll end up in a flying J somewhere, just waiting for someone to purchase you. Oh my gosh, these were great. This was really fun. Thank you for doing it. Will you tell people where they can follow you or find you so they can come see you live or any of that?
Sure. GabrielRutledge.com will get you to, I think, link to everything. But, I'm on all the social medias. I got a couple full-length shows on YouTube you can watch. Watch Monica's Helium Presents, which is fucking great, by the way. Are you happy how that turned out?
I am. I was worried. Yeah. I felt... Yeah, you just get nervous. I'm sure you feel the same, especially when somebody else is making most of the decisions creatively, Like,
that's
I'm sure
scary.
You feel like that with Dry Bar too, but it was, but I felt like it looked better and it sounded better than I was kind of afraid of, because it was in a club, so people were kind of walking. They were still serving, which annoyed me, but, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I like that. You can even tell it's like it's a little more intimate, but yeah, it sounds great. You're killing. You look great. Makeup on point.
Thank you.
Everything. I have all kinds of content. I'm sorry, I got distracted. And then I have books you can buy and all kinds of stuff. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, yeah, go follow Gabe. Go see him live. One of my favorite people literally ever to watch live, and I've seen it many times and I still watch it because we work together so much and I like that. I'm happy. But other than that, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, rate, review, subscribe on the Apple or whatever you use. I'm good at this part. We also have YouTube memberships. If you want to join there, you get behind the scenes, you get these episodes before everybody else and all that fun stuff. But right now you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.